Oh, guys, welcome to episode 23. I was not going to say the topic of this time because there's a lot of S's, and if you've been playing along at home, I can't say S, okay? But is self-care selfish?
Oh, you did good.
Okay, if you did notice, and we do have a video if you're watching this,
That was
I have to
impressive.
really pronounce
We
my
put that
S's.
section in slow-mo.
Slow-mo. Please don't edit this. But is self-care selfish? Because this is a pain point that I know a lot of our current clients have. And I've
Yeah.
even said to Paige, it's actually a pain point I have. And I
Which I
brought
just
this
found out
up.
today.
Yeah,
I just found out.
I brought this up with my wife, and yeah, I'm sure we can talk about it. It's not a debate today, but I
No.
think it's something where we can provide some
A
insights.
little bit of insights. I think it's very dependent on the person. Like, I think a massive thing is situational. We were talking, not long ago just about how if you're a mum, mums typically really struggle a lot, and we have a lot of like mum clients who are nurses, and it's just for them, they seem to really struggle to find that balance because they find that, okay, taking some time for me, it is really selfish. And like Jake said, it's a massive pain point for our clients where they put everyone else first before themselves. You know, they'll even put their work, they'll literally put their work first before themselves, and they'll put themselves into like exhaustion or even burnout sometimes. And you just think, hey, your health is the most important thing. If you don't have that, like, what else do you have?
Oh, 100%. And I think it's one of those things where, I have a one and a half year old, guys, for context, and before
He's super calm.
super
Yeah,
chill,
super calm.
super chill. But before having Eli, guys, like I probably did have a different mindset. I didn't understand, to be really honest. I didn't. Like, I have sisters, they have kids, and maybe I slightly understood, but until I had a child, the feeling is, it's a unique feeling, to put it into perspective, because, I talk about this, on a lot of the episodes. I do a lot of training. I'm currently training for a half Ironman. My training is probably not going to dial down. And sometimes
Probably going to increase that.
yeah, sometimes I'm training in the room and Eli's awake, and I actually feel really, really bad, that I'm not there with, Eli, but I know it's for my goals. And for me, the insight I always have, and to Paige's point as well, is, if you want to show up as the best mum, dad, nurse, teacher, whatever whatever out there, looking after yourself is so important, because I have goals outside of, my son, and then I think it makes me, once again, just talking from my perspective, makes me a better dad, because I'm staying fit, I'm staying healthy, where I could not exercise, come be with Eli, spend the time with him, but then I would be unfit, unhealthy, and I wouldn't have the energy to want to,
Go and play at the park with him and run
exactly
around.
run around.
Him.
He's a speed demon.
He is a speed demon,
He
that
loves to
guy.
like. He has his little speed legs, so that's where I think it's always that caveat. And until you go through that, maybe you're listening, you don't have a child, but, you also struggle. And, I'm not saying you have to have a child to know that feeling,
No.
because,
But you definitely don't have to have a child. You don't. Like, I think, yes, I'm sure being a parent is really hard. Like, I, wouldn't know that, not being a parent myself. But, it's also, I'm quite like a driven person when it comes to work. So I will like work. And sometimes I'll literally put off my health sometimes for the business. But, at the end of the day, it's about really putting that time aside for you so that you can fill your own cup. We have been to bring up that word again, but balance, right? Like, everything I think in life is balance, whether it's focusing on our health, focusing on our work, focusing on our relationships, focusing on our self-care. Like, all these things are like little cups in our lives that we need to fill, because if we're not filling them up, then, we're not having that balance for ourselves. And again, enjoying that process. But self-care doesn't have to be huge at the end of the day, right? Like, it could be literally going outside, standing in the sunshine for literally 60 seconds and breathing.
Definitely.
I think people think, oh, well, self-care, it might be blocking off 45 minutes for a workout. And yes, that's great, but you might not have that time that day to do your workout session. So still learning to go, okay, it's kind of like the happy list that I spoke about on that episode. It's like, okay, what's my self-care list? Like, maybe I have a list of things that I can do in seconds or minutes, and then other things might take a little bit longer, like having a a bath at nighttime, or reading a book for some downtime, or taking some space away from a really hectic environment to just take 5 minutes to myself. So I think it can look different for everyone, and there's no right way or wrong way when it comes to self-care, but it's important to really prioritize self-care, because then otherwise you're not able to show up, like you said, as the best person or the best version of you, and then everyone gets impacted rather than you putting everyone else ahead of yourself.
Yeah, well, and at the end of the day, guys, like the one thing, I've probably, unfortunately, people passing, in my life, and your health's a priority until it's not, right?
Yeah.
And yes, we can work. Yes, we've got kids, all these things, but until our health's gone, like, you won't be able to work. You won't be able to be the best, the best partner, the best parent, whatever it looks like for yourself. So it's like, and unfortunately, and this is one of the hardest things, and I feel like I've seen this firsthand from being a coach, is most humans will wait until it's usually too late. Well, actually, it's not. No, I shouldn't say most. Majority, because it's never too late. There's too late is like unfortunately the like I said, if you're past things like that, but it's just the downside of us as humans. And some, not all like that. I definitely can't put everyone into that bucket, but I think making those changes early, and I think one thing that's really helped for me is like, you block it off, and
block it off in your calendar.
Yeah, Paige is very big on calendar.
I'm
surprised you haven't done it.
love it.
I'm surprised you've not done it.
I nearly dropped the calendar. I was like, Paige, don't drop the calendar today.
But I put it in my calendar. I think that always helps myself, not just for exercise, other things as well. And for me, the way I've dealt with what I explained earlier with my son and him getting up early, because I do love spending time with him in the morning before we start work, is I get up earlier. Once again, that might not make sense.
Yeah, that's what works for you, right?
Yeah, that might not make sense. It means I have to go to bed ridiculously early, because I also prioritize my sleep to recover. But I do get up at 4 o'clock. 7 days a week, and I very rarely, the last 6 months I've not missed one of those wake ups, because I'm very serious about what I'm trying to achieve and my goals. But
did that come with a conversation that you had with Jade as well? Like, because I think a lot of people are maybe not scared, but don't have those conversations with their partners. So like you guys align, right? When it comes to that?
Well, like it's always a conversation to have, because like I said, I train a lot, guys. Like I really do. I train a lot, and it's like, it's also something where I just have to check in. Like, check in. Jade and I have a weekly,
check-in.
Yeah, like a weekly, we have like a weekly, we call it a goal date, where we just talk about the week, discuss.
Sounds awful.
And it's just, but it, like that's where, because I feel like, and Jade's totally fine, with it, but it's just continually checking, because you've got to remember, Jade might have been fine with it 3 months ago, but things change in her life as well. Her goals, mindset, like things do change. So that's where like continually checking in with the people around you, especially, like I said, it's not just Jade and I now. We have Eli, we have a kid, so there's an external variable that he continually changes as well, right?
I just do a weekly check on myself on my calendar at the moment. So, and that works great.
The reflection.
Am I making time for my self-care? No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Reflection.
Like you can pinpoint, okay, well, if I didn't make time for my self-care on this Tuesday, what happened? What did I prioritize above that? And was it worth it? Sometimes it is a yes. Sometimes it's like, you know what? But again, at the end of the day, I could still put 5 minutes aside for self-care. So it's an excuse.
Yeah, well, I think reflecting is something we always talk about. Reflecting and reflecting is important, guys, because you want to make it a habit, right? Like that's how you get long-term results, is making self-care a habit in your life. I would try to commit to it daily. I know that might sound like a lot to start. And like I said, daily doesn't have to be 4 hours of doing it. It could be, 5 minutes. It could be 1 minute. But I always think starting small is better, because then you can slowly chip away. And then let's say you go from 5 to 15 minutes. The next, maybe it takes you a month to get to 5 minutes daily. But if you can make it daily, I guarantee if you're listening to this, you'll find such
Yeah.
such a big.
You'll feel changes within yourself,
Yeah,
for sure.
And then just remember, like self-care, there's we didn't really clearly define what self-care means. There's whatever self-care definition means to you. Like it could be writing goals, it could be exercise, it could be time with your partner, with your kids. Like there's so many different things that it means.
Dancing around the house.
Yeah, we made it part. We make it part of our daily routine with Eli, where when we finish in the afternoon, we have like a
Little
dance.
boogie.
Yeah, like I if we recorded, I'm not a good dancer, guys. I'm 6'4".
Jacob's the finger.
I am not built to dance. That would be.
Jake, show them your dance moves.
Yeah, but once again, like that's something very little that we all like to do as a family. So for me, that is also part of self-care for me daily.
Love it.
Love it. Hope you guys got some insights.
I think so. That was a bit of a different one for us.
It was a bit of a different
I
one.
liked it.
I like it. That's going to be it for episode. What was that? 23.
I think so. 23?
23. I hope we
got
got that
that
right.
right.
Guys, make sure you remember, please
Join
make
the
sure you
Facebook
join
group.
our Facebook group.
Please.
We do lots of lives. They're there for you. They're really, we love to chat. That's why.
Tell us all your self-care techniques or
Yeah.
ways that you fill your cup.
Because there's so many. There is so many. We could probably create a list of 50 and, guarantee you'll probably have another 50.
Probably be
there's,
never ending.
Yeah, there's so many. Because like I said, because that definition is different for everyone. So
Yeah.
remember, guys, don't be too hard on yourself either. Small changes. That's all we're always trying to aim to get 1% better each day. So guys, that's going to be it. PJ, out.